All right, Smirnoff. Official vodka of the NFL, the world's #1 vodka. Here's the deal. Game day is everything. The noise, the rituals, the passion, the dip, the wings, the dip again. Smirnoff belongs in that mix because if you're tailgating or hosting or just sitting there checking your fantasy lineup every 30 seconds, you need Smirnoff. Otherwise, it's not a real game day. They've been doing this since 1864, which is, I don't even want to do the math, a long time. They're award-winning, they make cocktails super easy, and they're all about bringing fans together. So yeah, we do game days. That's their thing. And if you're over 21, you should too. Grab a bottle of Smirnoff at your local retailer and head to Smirnoff.com to find recipes of delicious cocktails perfect for game day. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff, #21 vodka. Distilled from grain. 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please do not share with anyone under legal drinking age.
At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high-quality walking shoes, which might lead to another discovery.
40,000 steps, baby. Who's on top now, Karen?
You've taken the office step challenge a step too far. Don't worry, though. Sierra also has yoga gear. It might be a good place to find your zen. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
When did making plans get this complicated? It's time to streamline with WhatsApp, the secure messaging app that brings the whole group together. Use polls to settle dinner plans. Send event invites and pin messages so no one forgets Mom's 60th. And never miss a meme or milestone. All protected with end-to-end encryption. It's time for WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone. Learn more at whatsapp.com.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings,
Why are you listening to this show?
the podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
One of the things that probably bears noting as it relates to Baker Mayfield is he's also been very lucky this season. He has been reckless. He's got 9 turnover-worthy plays in 13 quarters. Like, there are going to be games. It's not going to matter in that division. That division's so bad that the Dolphins might get right against that division because they get to play against the Saints in Carolina.
This is slightly where, like, this is my biggest point of contention, and I'm sure the audience can read through it because of how pro Baker I am. This is where PFF is flawed. Yeah, turnover worthy. I guess the ball that he fit between 2 defenders closing in on that ball to Ibuka was turnover worthy. It was also a freaking touchdown because he's got a laser arm.
Is that how they do it? Like, if it could be the smallest window and the pass is completed because he threw a literal perfect pass, but because it was dangerous, it becomes turnover worthy?
Baker's time with the Browns was when I learned in hearing people defend the merits of Baker is there's such a thing as a healthy amount of interceptions because he'll go for it more. He'll stretch the field more. And in watching that game, Tampa became very predictable on offense. They have their identity. It is clear. Baker, save us.
Forgive me, though, for trusting PFF slightly more than your eyes and your bias. He throws some passes, and I've seen several of them this year, that DBs have just dropped. It's not perfect passes.
Houston, for sure.
It's not perfect passes. It's like, how did that ball not get picked off? I see that in the league all the time. It leads me to start today, my pro football talk today with what I thought was the biggest play of the entire Sunday that I saw. All the plays. Adonai Mitchell, the Colts receiver that produced what is to me the single greatest instance I've ever seen between an extraordinary, excellent play turning into a profound stupidity. I know Deshaun Jackson has done this 3 different times.
How are we still doing this?
Deshaun Jackson did it 3 different times. One of them was in an all-star game before he ever got to the pros when he tried to do a somersault before the goal line with the ball and put the ball down on the 1-yard line.
That would be sick.
Well, he did. We could get that video. We don't have the rights to the times that he did it in the pros because he did it twice in the pros where he dropped the ball to celebrate before the goal line. But the play that Mitchell made before the stupidity, I'm going to try and describe it for you because I had to keep rewinding it to make sure I saw it right. He's running down the field. This is a 75-yard play. He's running down the field between 2 defenders. He catches the ball with just the inside of his right elbow. Like, I don't even know how it got stuck there. It got stuck there from a long distance. He caught it with just his right elbow. He's wearing gloves. This is comedy. Okay, he's wearing gloves to secure the football, and as he gets to the 1-yard line, it slips out of his hands and it goes through the end zone, and in a panic, he tries to recover it and recovers it after he's out of the end zone. The Rams get the ball at the 20-yard line. The difference between the Colts and the Rams today is that play. And while I believe the Rams are Ram tough, and I believe the Rams are going to be more formidable in the playoffs than the Colts are, just because they have Stafford, who I know late in games is going to do things late in games that I don't trust Daniel Jones to do late in games, no matter how you try and reinvent Daniel Jones for me, and no matter how well you coach him up. There were 3 teams in the league that went into the games yesterday with no turnovers this season. They were 9-0. Those teams that had no turnovers. All of a sudden, the Colts have a couple of turnovers, and they have the play at the goal line. There was no bigger play yesterday because I believe the Colts and the Rams are good teams. I believe they are good football teams, and you just can't have explosive plays be that rare in that sport, touchdowns be that rare in that sport, and your 22-year-old receiver catches the ball with the inside of his right elbow inside of double coverage for a 75-yard run, except he only runs 74 of them with the football because as he goes to put the ball over the goal line, it wasn't even what Deshaun Jackson does. Like, I understand what you're saying, Zaz, when you're saying, how does this still happen? But what's happened previously is guys drop the ball before they get over the goal line, drop it casually to be cool and swagger into the end zone. He was just trying to put the ball over the goal line. Like, he wasn't even doing something that was super showy. He didn't need to do it, but all he was doing was trying to put the ball over the goal line. You got to assume that human being trusts his hands to do that.
It was a little showy, but he was kind of towing the sideline a little bit, so you can probably rationalize it. This is the first instance where I've seen sheer panic on a player that wasn't even able to really celebrate the unbelievable play that he made, because it wasn't just catching it with the crook of his elbow. It was hitting circle on the PS2 controller after that and making that play. It was an unbelievable play, and it's also like one that is weird to get on a guy for because they're only in that position due to an unbelievable individual effort.
It's almost scientifically impossible to have his gloves that grippy with the ball after touching his skin, that's obviously he's sweating because he's running, and have the ball come out of his hands. That's almost physically, scientifically, mathematically impossible.
It is really hard to have your elbow be
You felt those gloves, right, Dan?
Than your hands.
Had him to score a touchdown, too.
Oh,
that was unfortunate.
Oh, no.
There were a number of people who I felt for watching what it is that I was watching over the weekend, and we'll get to that over the course of the show. But there was also a funny play in the Bills-Saints game, and oddly, with the great witching hours we've gotten recently, as the witching hour began yesterday, the only one-score game was Bills-Saints, okay?
Saints,
a game none of you're not a Spencer Rattler
I
guy.
told you at the beginning of the season, Spencer Rattler, not terrible.
Just never want to start.
Again, you're worried. You're like Mike Ryan with the streaming numbers.
It's a zero in front of
cares
the
about
win
the
column.
numbers?
It's a
He's
zero.
making plays. Was it close? It was close.
It was close, but I didn't believe that the Saints would ever win that football game. And I guess the Giants were the biggest upset yesterday, beating the Chargers. We'll have something about that game in a second. But the Bills are in the wonderful position, and this is what the Chiefs were a couple of years ago. They're in the wonderful position where they routinely put up 31 points, and you're like, man, the offense didn't play that well. They didn't do very much, and they're scoring 31 points. But in that game, And I thought of this the other day because I was talking to David Sampson, and heart out to David Sampson. If you've been following that show, you could listen to Nothing Personal Today, where he talks more personally about just the most horrific, trying thing that he is going through. But I was talking to him about Annabelle Sanchez and the fact that my father and I went to one game that entire Marlins season, and Annabelle Sanchez threw a no-hitter in that game. A no-hitter that if we'd used replay back then wouldn't have been a no-hitter, because there would have been a bad call in that game that turned that into not a no-hitter. I'm watching. You say that Mitchell immediately felt bad and had panic, and you are right. I'm watching in that game Brandon Cooks make an amazing catch in the end zone, okay? And the reason that I knew that it wasn't a catch, even though the referees signaled that it was indeed a catch and was a touchdown, is because Brandon Cooks got up. It was a great catch. And he did a really super half-hearted bow and arrow celebration. Like, it's like, I'll do this to try and fool the refs, but I know that they know that I didn't actually catch this ball. They're gonna go.
It was like a Cupid bow and arrow, like a soft
bow and arrow is cool celebration.
It is, but the way that he did it was limp. It was impotent. He should have been happy. They'd be taking the lead on the road against the Bills. It was a third down play. It would have been an enormous play, an enormous catch, but he did it it was really limp. He just I know they're going to overturn this when they go to video, and everyone could tell. It's the way that I could tell on Mitchell's face. Like, Mitchell looked up at the scoreboard to make sure. What happened after the Mitchell play, I'm telling you, was the funniest play Sunday, because never in my life have I seen such an extraordinary play turned into something that's going to haunt him for the remainder of this week, the remainder of this season. Touchdowns are hard to come by in that sport. But as soon as Mitchell knew before the rest of us what had happened, he knew he lost the ball too early, and he went in a panic to try and retrieve it, and then he does the thing that men sometimes do when they are alone with their shame and they're the only ones who know it and don't want to be seen. He started trying to adjust his cup. And he just sort of sheepishly looked at the scoreboard. And as his teammates come, because they don't know yet, teammates come to celebrate with him in the end zone, and he's muttering something under his breath that makes them stop their celebration. And then he looks at the scoreboard, and he knows that if he hasn't lost the game, he's hoping that he hasn't lost the game. And then after the game, the cameras are all on him as he's going to the locker room, because he's the reason that they lost that football game. Do you realize what we'd be saying about the Colts? The margin for error in that sport is ridiculous. So we all forget about the fact that Denver had an offsides on a missed field goal, and the Colts could have had one loss before that game. Do you realize how we'd be talking about the Colts today if he had simply gone the extra yard with that football to take them to 5-0 with a win on the road against the Rams that we all know are championship worthy, because you're just scared of them, because no other team in the league has. Like, they throw plenty to St. Brown. They target St. Brown plenty in Detroit, and Lord knows Kyler Murray, he targets McBride an awful lot in Arizona, but nobody gets targeted like Puka Nacua in that sport. There is no receiver that's that kind of unguardable because of the connection that he has with his quarterback. How many catches did Nacua have yesterday? Was it, again, double digits, because you can count on him for double-digit targets no matter who's covering him?
Yeah, the books still haven't caught up to his output. Matthew Stafford does this. He locks in on one guy, has an unbelievable chemistry with a receiver wherever he goes. That is option one, and you don't even need separation. He works on such chemistry with wide receiver one. Mitchell also had a big-time holding on a long run for Jonathan Taylor in that game, so probably felt the worst out of anybody on Sunday.
Would have been a touchdown run. Jonathan Taylor had like a 50-plus yard touchdown run. What a disaster for Mitchell.
It's a shame, because he stepped up so admirably. PFF, like the advanced analytics suggested that his target share, especially when Pierce is out, this is a guy to clue in on, and he performed pretty admirably, except he lost his team the game.
He had 13 catches on the day, Dan. That puts him to 42 catches on the season in 4 games.
That's crazy. Those are
10 catches a game.
Video game numbers. That's unbelievable.
This episode is supported by FX's The Lowdown, starring Ethan Hawke. Allow us to introduce you to Lee Raybon, a quirky journalist / rare bookstore owner / unofficial truth seeker who's always on the tail of his latest conspiracy. This time, his most recent expose puts him head to head with a powerful family that rules Tulsa, meaning only one thing: he must be onto something big. FX is The Lowdown, all new Tuesdays on FX. Stream on Hulu.
This show is sponsored by Liquid IV, and man, let me tell you something. Transitioning from the lazy vibes of summer to the fall grind, it's brutal. The energy dips, the focus slips, you know the deal. That's why I'm all over Liquid IV's new Energy Multipliers sugar-free hydrating energy. One stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates you better than water alone, with 3 times the electrolytes of a sports drink, 8 essential vitamins, and no sugar. No jitters, no crash, just smooth, balanced energy. I throw a packet in my work bag and my hockey bag when I go to the rink, heck, even in my car. You guys really need to check out the strawberry kiwi and the black lemonade. Push through workouts, power through meetings, or just survive that post-summer slump. Seriously, it's like a wake-up call for your body. Hydration and energy, all in one. This is the upgrade your fall routine needs. Don't let the grind drain you. Ditch the glitch with 0 sugar and 0 crash from Liquid IV. Tear poor, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with code DAN at checkout. That's 20% off your first order with code DAN at liquidiv.com.
Howdy, folks. It's Mike Ryan. I want to talk to you about Game Time, the official ticketing partner of the Dan Le Batard Show. They've been on with us for quite a while, and I practice what I preach here, people. It is my go-to when I'm trying to get in-demand tickets. Why? It's got so many incredible features. It was ahead of the game. What you see is what you pay. All-in pricing, zone deals, panoramic seat views. And when I became an NFL free agent, I just wanted to see the best games in the best places. And Game Time had me so covered. They take the guesswork out of buying NFL tickets. It's incredibly easy to use. And the Game Time guarantee means you can trust you'll get 100% authentic tickets on time and at the best price. Plus, fees are always included, so what you see is what you pay. Take the guesswork out of buying NFL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DAN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DAN for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today.
Dan Le Batard.
What is the worst part of the life?
Stugotz.
The worst part of the life of what?
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
It is odd, I've got to be honest, to see Stafford turn Nakua into what Cooper Kupp was, and it's also going to be really crushing for Detroit when Stafford ends their season somehow. It's going to feel really bad when the Rams do something like we expect them to do in the playoffs. There is not a team in the universe that wants to play the Rams. I don't care what the Rams' record is in the playoffs.
One of the things to watch, you know how I have like these little side quests when I watch games? Watch Kyron Williams in pass protection. Watch it. He doesn't just like get a little shoulder in or anything like that. Dude blows guys up.
Zaslow, what were you looking at?
The incompetence at the end of the Sunday Night Football game last night. Like, I fell asleep last night with 3 minutes left. I got to get out of there. I got to go to sleep. I was up really early, all right? So I wake up this morning, and I open up my phone, and I want to check the score. 40-40. Now, the first thought that came to my mind was, how is this game still going on? And then I saw it said final tie. I was like, oh, all right, you know.
What time was it? Like, what time were you waking up?
It was 6:15 a.m. I was shocked that the game was still happening. It was a very high score. I don't remember it being 40-40 when I went to sleep.
The Cowboys had like 6 points with like 40 seconds left in that second quarter.
This game is still going on. It's a crazy game.
Hand up. I fell asleep during that game. Long weekend of solo parenting. I was stunned to see that final score.
Yeah.
Stunned.
Yeah, and so just now I'm watching the sequence at the end of the game where the Packer, like, just letting the clock tick down and not winning the game.
I found it this morning because at 1:50, my daughter kind of like rustled and woke up a little bit. And I was like, oh, I knew I fell asleep. Let me see. And just like in my fog of my mind, I look 44 and I'm like, no, that can't be right. 40. That's not right. And I just put it back to sleep. Put it back down with the sleep.
Dominique Foxworth on the Dominique Foxworth Show has called the Packers an unserious football team that doesn't have actual championship hopes. He said, and I don't think you can do this, that was a win tie for the Cowboys and a lose tie for the Packers.
Yeah, that's true. I think Jerry Jones won that game last night. That was a win. Cowboys won last night.
Put it on the poll.
Let's go win.
At Le Batard Show, was that a good win for the Cowboys? Was that tie a good win for the Cowboys last night? Let's get to the Hampton Farms nuttiest fan here. I did indeed get my car cleaned for all the peanut shells over the weekend, but I will destroy that again when I take home some of these spicy nuts that are now something that perpetually remind me of childhood. What are the nominees, Roy, for this week's nuttiest fan?
All right, this week's nuttiest fan, we have 3 nominees. The first nominee is a Virginia fan climbing the field goal and standing on the crossbar and hanging on to the upright. He was doing a move like pointing that way, like doing a pirouette or something like that, as you can see on the video right there.
Good balance.
Yeah.
That is a shirtless fan that is proud to be shirtless and should be proud to be shirtless.
I'll say it. That's an attractive young man.
He's got some muscle on him.
It's like looking in the mirror.
That's exactly like you during Pilates.
The second option is this Oregon fan at State College for the Penn State Ducks game, who was all alone in a sea of white with the Nittany Lion fans.
That was kind of like the Cowboys Packers game where the final score is like, what the hell happened here?
Yeah.
Yep.
I want to talk about that game in a second, but keep going, Roy.
And the final nominee, of course, the Virginia fans storming the field in rapid time as they pulled off this upset.
I don't like this.
This is the greatest field rush in the history of field
Greatest
rushing.
or worst?
I understand that looks very scary. That looks like World War Z over there. But you have to understand, the Cavalier fans were being edged for 90 minutes at that point. They were ready to go. They were rabid. They were all Braxton Berrios about to enter Doak Campbell Stadium. They were crazy for that. That was just such a cool, dramatic moment. I understand. It looked a lot worse than it was. Nobody got hurt.
By the way, that is a fine for me for clearing my throat in the microphone. That is the nuttiest fan. Brought to you by Hampton Farms, the official snack nut of the tailgate. Vote for your favorite nutty fan at Le Batard Show on Instagram, and keep an eye out for Lucy Rodin at Notre Dame if you think you are that team's nuttiest fan.
Zaslow, I thought that was incredibly cool. It would have been bad if there had been a flag on the field. They got out there very fast. That's the fastest I've ever seen fans get on the field.
The most aggressive field rushing I've ever seen. I mean, I got a text. I was watching in the hotel Friday night, and I got a text from my son. He goes, "Do you see the field rushing?" I go, "It was so aggressive. I'm really nervous that somebody got hurt."
As a battle-tested veteran of a lot of upsets on that field, they have an open end that's downhill, and the students tend to
How do you
pull.
stop it?
There's no way. Like they don't have the construction for that. Wake Forest was also a situation in which it would have been a crazy field rush had Wake Forest got that 2-point conversion to beat Georgia Tech, because the fans just line up there. This game went to overtime. Castellanos and Whitman combined for an unbelievable catch and throw that was just like, it deflated the crowd a little bit, and you had thousands upon thousands of students just in that open end of the end zone, and then they end up winning on that play, and it provided a cool visual, but a little scary
It's
moment.
too much. It's too. There's the safety part of it. Okay, I sound like an old person, doesn't like that fun. Whatever, man. Like, it was really aggressive. It makes me nervous just watching it. And then there's the other part of it, which is like Illinois, number 23. Illinois beat number 21 USC. Can you have a little self-respect? Like, they stormed the field after beating a team that was ranked 2 spots higher than them. Can you respect yourself a little bit, Illinois? Have some self-respect.
And the ACC does hand out pretty punitive fines now for field rushing.
Oh, but like, these kids care. These kids are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to school there for for 4 years. They can say, "Oh, I don't want to school. I have to get fined." Come on.
If the ACC is actually serious about stopping this, if college football, big time college
Suspend
football,
students.
Not that.
Well, that is how it'll stop.
How about build a wall? Right now, the only
now
thing
you're talking. Mike, thank you for coming around. Wahoo wah.
Okay.
You know what's like? UVA hopes to have plenty of upsets. It can't be more than a couple $1 million to pour some cement.
Where's UVA?
And Charlottesville, and build out a wall. Like, if you're serious about stopping it, then maybe your last line of defense shouldn't be just, a couple dudes with a rope.
The games that you just mentioned, because I think there were 4 of them in there, and I don't know which is the best of them. I disagree with Zaz on a couple of fronts. If you have USC's history and Illinois' football history, I understand rushing the field, even though you're not incorrect when you say that the ranking difference between the two wasn't very large.
I'd also apply further context as the one responsible student. Guys, no, it's only 2 spots ahead of us. They played the late night slot last week and had to fly to Champaign, Illinois, and play what is tantamount to an 11 a.m. start time. Well, a 10 a.m. start time for them. We should not do this. We should turn back.
After losing to Indiana by 50 the week before, and when you hold your hands up like that as the one student rushing, trying to stop, World War Z is my favorite zombie movie. I don't know if you guys have a better one than that, but World War Z is, I don't love zombie movies, but I like that one. When you hold up your hands as the one fan trying to hold back everybody, you remind me of the Carolina punter on that special teams punt return yesterday, where it's 10 Patriots running right at him because the return had 9 blockers on it, and the punter's like, bleep this. I'm not going to try. I'm going to get out of the way here.
Reminds me of Kevin Bacon on Animal House.
All is well. I got to find out. Maybe when Pablo joins us later today, we can ask him, what have these special teams coaches in the NFL found out? Like, there is more blocks.
Many block
more
kicks.
impactful plays, game-changing plays. The Eagles especially. Yeah. That game was won on that very first punt attempt from Tampa. What is going on in this league with special teams? From the kickers, booming legs, to the blocks. Is it because some of these kicks are happening at a lower trajectory because they have bigger legs than ever now? But I am liking this. I don't like the kickoff rule and the drop zone, but I am liking what I am seeing where, okay, it's not just guys making kicks because that's not good. Impactful plays from special teams and blocks. That's fun.
Mike, I'm glad you brought up the kickoff and the drop zone. I'm just going to say what everyone else is thinking as well. I have no idea how that rule works. I have no clue what's happening there. I don't know where they have to land. I don't know what happens if it doesn't land there. I know that it's bad if it doesn't go where it's supposed to. I don't have a clue how this kickoff works.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Batard Show. If you're really being honest, do you understand the new kickoff rules? And to your point, Mike, yesterday, during that Philadelphia-Tampa game, as you're sitting here talking about correctly the block punt that was the first score in that game, there was a 65-yard field goal in that game no one remembers.
Just casual.
65-yarder.
Bomb. Just cash. Super cash. We're not even talking about this. Like, the world would stop usually when these kicks were attempted.
The record used to be 63 yards. Can you look up? We put a picture up of the half-footed kicker, Tom Dempsey from New Orleans a million years ago that used to hold the record at one point for longest field goal. The record used to be 63 yards. Kickers have rendered that irrelevant.
I remember growing up, Jason Elam
breaking it.
Was attempting like a 53-yard field goal, and it was, holy shit, I can't believe they're trying this.
Oh, I got mad at the Raiders yesterday for being so meek, trying to settle into position for a 50-plus yard field goal instead of trying to get a little bit closer and then losing the game to the Bears because they're sitting there like if a 53-yard field goal is now an easy thing.
I think Gino wrote back. He might have finally gotten the time to write back.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Checking off the boxes on your to-do list is a great feeling. And when it comes to checking off coverage, a State Farm agent can help you choose an option that's right for you. Whether you prefer talking in person, on the phone, or using the award-winning app, it's nice knowing you have help finding coverage that best fits your needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Lowe's knows how to help make your home holiday ready for less. Get Select Style Selections vinyl flooring for just $1.99 per square foot and have it installed before the festivities begin. Our team can help you every step of the way. See a Lowe's Red Vest associate or visit Lowe's.com/holiday install to get started. Lowe's, we help, you save. Basic install only. Date restrictions apply. Subject to availability. Installed by independent contractors. See associate for details. Contiguous U.S. only.
Don Le Batard.
Football.
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 Football. Football. Stugotz. This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
I have in front of me here the games that you mentioned outside of Illinois USC. So you mentioned Georgia Tech, Wake Forest. I want to see which one of these you guys found most interesting. You got Ole Miss, LSU. Oh, by the way,
Put the town on alert.
I got that one right. I wonder if anyone out there won money taking Virginia on the money line and Mississippi on the money line together in a parlay because, my God, did Ole Miss drag LSU. I know the game was close, and I know Trinidad Chambliss, who's got just a great name. That's just a great name.
Great scouting find for them, too.
He did something really dumb at the end of the game. So did Trevor Lawrence yesterday, where they both went out of bounds when you can't go out of bounds in those situations. And so they needed a fourth down play and Lane Kiffin to be Lane Kiffin to actually win at the end. But Mississippi had 200 more yards than LSU. LSU cannot run the ball, no matter how much Brian Kelly yells at us about asking. They just can't do it. And in that game, Ole Miss lost the turnover battle, had 14 penalties, and still dragged LSU. But that game takes a back burner to, obviously, Alabama, Georgia, and Oregon, Penn State, which I wanted to talk about because James Franklin's record, Tony, please look this up for me. James Franklin is now 4-21 against top 10 teams, and in the Big Ten against the top 10, he's 1-18, and that's the third worst record since 1937, but I want to know who's worse. Like, I want you to give me the name and the record of somebody who is worse, because when they said he's third worst ever, I'm like, who can possibly be worse than who gets the chances to be worse than 1-18 in the Big Ten against top 10 teams?
They threw up just a graphic of general win-loss records against AP top 25 teams. I guess Beamer was doing it for so long that the time that I had recognized it, I didn't really know that was a stain on his record, but Frank Beamer apparently was James Franklin before James.
That's the only way. It has to be someone who, they're going to get a million chances because they've been the coach for 30 years.
Okay. So never talk to me about Drew Aller ever again. He's got that guy, Taller Van Dyke.
Stinks.
His name is Taller Van Dyke.
You can do, if you want, Virginia Tech and Frank Beamer, but I don't expect anything from Virginia Tech if not for Frank Beamer.
Zagak.
What James Franklin inherited in Penn State, he's gotten a lot of credit for rejuvenating something that looked like it was going to be decimated by the single worst scandal we've ever seen in college sports, which is what happened with Joe Paterno in Penn State.
Yeah, Bill O'Brien did build up the bones, though.
But didn't get it back here. didn't get it back to where James Franklin got it, where he got one of these giant contracts for being 1-18 against Big Ten top 10 teams. Put this on the poll as well, Juju, because Mike mentioned the way that game went. Has 17-3 seemed insurmountable to Penn State since 1986? Because I did not expect them to be able to come back and tie that game. And Zaz, you're going to be out here telling me you like that game because you like those defensive struggles.
Yep, I do.
You liked that game that slows down Oregon and turns them into their leading 17-3. And they're in a position to bury James Franklin, but somehow Penn State miraculously scores 2 touchdowns.
I love how every possession, especially in the second half, is so important. Every play is so important. I love that kind of game. And by the way, yes, it was 17-3 late in the third quarter, and some people may have thought that it was a bore. Fourth quarter of that game was awesome. You tell me it wasn't fun to watch? And then they put the camera on James Franklin after they lose the game.
Moore showed a lot of poise there, probably welcomed himself into the Heisman conversation. But takeaway from all the post-game stuff is, look, we can all laugh and cut clips, but if I'm Oregon's athletic department, I do send a text to Dan Lanning and just say, hey, are you all right?
Dan, I've got the top 5 worst coaches against the top 10 in the AP poll. Number 4, Tom Allen from Indiana was 1-14 against the top 10.
Unfortunate time to be in the Big Ten.
Mike Loxley from Maryland and New Mexico was 0-7 against the top 10.
What years were this?
Tom Allen was there not too long ago.
This is, I don't have the years. I only have the schedules.
Wasn't Tom Allen there when Penix was there?
Number 2, Matt Rule, Temple, Baylor, Nebraska, 0-11 versus AP top 10.
Nebraska just never going to win that game. Never going to win that game.
And the worst, James Franklin, 4-21 against the AP top 10. .160 as a winning percentage.
It's not good.
All good numbers, but again, the stat that I read was that he's the 3rd worst since 1937, and I was saying, who's worse? Who are the 2 who are worse than James Franklin? You mentioned low scoring, or we were talking about low scoring games. I will have you know, again, on another Saturday, even though you guys judge me for this, I was driving around listening to satellite radio instead of watching college football, and what I had on was the Iowa broadcast of Iowa, Indiana. And I enjoy these broadcasts for a number of reasons, one of which is the local sponsors that are sponsoring everything, the Red Zone, every first down. And so I get to enjoy, take a deep breath and enjoy Whittle's hot dogs or discount furniture or whatever else. And the announcers in Iowa, Indiana at the end of that game, which was, of course, Indiana slowed down by Iowa because that's what Iowa does against everyone except Rutgers this year for some reason. The announcers had the following exchange. One of them said, "Who doesn't love defensive football?" And the other one then howled, "I don't want this game to ever end." And then it ended shortly thereafter with Indiana winning.
I'm so happy that we're talking about college football. I think Sunday was the worst football day of the weekend. I put together a top 5 just so we can quick hit. Like, these were the most compelling college football games.
You're going to have 2 from Friday because that TCU-Arizona State game.
Yep. Dan, time-honored tradition of ruining the top 5 before it gets going. And number 5, Tennessee-Mississippi State. This game was awesome. I don't know what to make of the SEC as a whole because we're still trying to mold our brains over parity in college football. Doesn't seem like one SEC team is appreciably better than anybody else. If I had to pick one, I still think Texas is built for this. And Texas now has gotten to the point where they might be underrated. The team that is second best at that goal line thing that Ohio State does is Texas, and it should be talked about, excuse me, like the tush push. Number 4, Oregon, Penn State. We covered that. Number 3, let's talk about this TCU-Arizona State game in the Big 12 because when TCU went up 17-0, I crossed my arms and said, TCU, good football team. Wow. They got weapons. McAllister. They have a dude named Manjack the Fourth who doesn't wear receiving gloves on his hands. White guy, of course. Josh Hoover, great quarterback. Great running backs. And they go up 17-0 against a team that lost Scatterboo, but they still have Tyson and they still have Levitt. And the fight that Arizona State showed in really tight situations, getting a tip ball that was a game-changing interception when TCU was looking to put it away.
Tyson is such a good receiver.
Tyson is an absolute first-round pro. He is unreal. The strip sack at the end of that game when it looked like, all right, let's see what TCU's got here. TCU may very well be good, but that is a proud Arizona State team. The Friday football was just unbelievable. Second, FSU, Virginia, and Charlottesville. We told you this one was going to be spooky. We told you it was going to be spooky. Everyone talked themselves into FSU. They don't have the body types for you to think that they can just stroll into a road game in the ACC against a veteran quarterback like Chandler Morris and come out to tell the tale. You think that? You're wrong. Deuce Robinson, absolute gamer. Really good player. Bad drop in that end zone. Huge drop. But should they have even been in that? Because Whitman bailed them out with an unreal catch. Castellanos, I think he's been better than anybody could have probably anticipated in that offense. But big-time problems for that defense headed into Miami week. And number one, Dan, Bama UGA.
I was there for that.
Now, it may not have been the best game of the weekend, but in terms of storylines, I think this one is super interesting because Bama... You look back at that FSU game, and you're so confused by that result, and you may just have to resign yourself to the fact that Alabama was not prepared to play that game because this receiver room for Alabama is unbelievable. The body types that Dan mentioned Caden Proctor. Do we have that photo of the Caden Proctor screenplay? Caden Proctor goes from an off-season scandalous kind of personality surrounded by all sorts of NIL to playing all over the line. This guy was considered a disappointment all season long, and then he's playing on the left side. He's playing on the right side. They're throwing screen passes to him that UGA, Herbie was just, he felt so bad for the safeties that had to try to make this tackle there. Bama looks so good. They just have UGA's number. And Dan, look, obviously I'm a Carson Beck guy. I've talked to some people in his camp. It seems that Kirby Smart picked the wrong guy because this may end up being a wasted year for UGA, and it's because of the decision they made with quarterback. It's one thing to pick Stockton over Beck, and Beck is coming off of that surgery and whatnot. That's fine. But they didn't upgrade at that position, and they made a bad decision because this is going to be a wasted year for a national championship caliber team. Do the inventory on SEC quarterbacks. No lie, you may get to double digits on quarterbacks inside that conference that you trust more than Gunnar Stockton. They would kill to have any one of those. Can you imagine Pavia on Georgia? Yeah. Vanderbilt has a much better quarterback situation. Mississippi State, Tennessee. The schools that have a better quarterback situation inside their own conference is startling for a Kirby Smart team, and it is just a massive, massive gaffe. But Bama might be back.
Why don't do the Caden Proctor play a lot, right? They just did it once. Why don't you do it more? You just get a guy who's 6'9", 400 pounds. You throw it to him. They can't tackle him. And then you just get 7-8 yards at a time. Turn him into a tight end.
It was funny because he was obviously hit at the line of scrimmage. It was a screen pass on the goal line, and he just dragged dudes 10 yards. The thing that I think that Mike is doing, and Zaz was there as he mentioned, that I don't think is fair, even though the overall analysis is that, yeah, there are better quarterbacks than Gunnar Stockton. But Stockton made the throw you needed to make in that game. Taylor dropped it, and I felt bad as a freshman to be in your home stadium to get past the defense. If not for the existence of Adonai Mitchell, I would feel worse for Taylor than anyone in the sport this weekend because you're starting your Georgia career. You're behind the Alabama defense. It's the easiest catch in the world, and your quarterback made the throw. And you just dropped the ball behind the defense that would have given you the lead. You can blame the quarterback all you want there, but what are you doing blaming the quarterback there? I think he made the throw to win the game.
Yeah, but I think the fact that it's a game is the issue here because it's probably not a game if they have a different quarterback situation. I put pen to paper. Jackson Arnold at Auburn, better quarterback situation. Mississippi State, Tennessee. Sellers, even though South Carolina's had a very disappointing season, better quarterback play. Reed at Texas A&M. Mizzou's getting great play out of their quarterback. Arkansas, better quarterback, even though they just fired their head coach. LSU, Nussmeier, people have their opinions, but he would be better at UGA than what they have right now. The backup quarterback, Trinidad from Ole Miss, he'd be a gamer. Vanderbilt, clearly, game day's headed to...
It's not fair what you're doing. Alabama came out and ran roughshod over the Georgia defense on third down. Like they were just completing all their passes while Gunnar Stockton was standing on the sideline.
Bama, OU, Texas, UGA is not going to win a title when they have that many teams ahead of them in quarterback
I don't
play.
think you're giving Alabama enough credit, man. Like,
Simpson's
yes, the
great.
FSU game looks really terrible at this point, and it certainly doesn't help where you're probably right when you say they must not have been prepared, because that's like the worst thing for a coach. The first game of the season, when you were kind of embattled at the end of last season, your team was clearly not prepared, but I think you'd rather them be not as bad as it is. I think you'd rather them be not prepared, and that's what happened in that FSU game, than they're not that good, because I think they are that good.
Well, they're still getting run on a little bit, but look, you want to know not prepared? You're playing Gus Malzahn, and you have a nose tackle setting the edge for you in week one. That just shows you've never done any kind of film study on Gus Malzahn.
But I think that they're top 10 again now. I think they're number 10, right, Alabama? I think they're a playoff team. And you want to talk about James Franklin and how he can't win the big games. Kalen DeBoer, all he does is win the big games.
Pablo's going to join us next.
Julian Edlow here from DK Network. Tune in to DKN Daily Bets Monday through Friday, a fun, quick-hitting podcast where we bring in knowledgeable guests from across the sports betting industry to break down our favorite bets of the day. Find DKN Daily Bets wherever you listen to your podcasts.